Hi everyone, my name's Simon Ryan. I'm the investment director for Locating Kent, which means I help businesses move to the region and we help businesses in the Kent and Medway region to grow as well. We're measured by the amount of jobs that we create, and obviously to create jobs, you need to make investment. And it's interesting. Recently, I was just reading about productivity and how it varies around Europe. And the UK doesn't necessarily always have the highest productivity, and that's the amount of measured by the amount of profit that a business generates per employee. And one of the reasons for that is because we don't seem to invest in innovation and research and development so much in the UK as we do in other parts of Europe. That is except in one sector, and that's a sector that actually the Kent and Medway region is really strong on, and that is in food production, food processing, and food distribution. So anything from going almost down to the molecular state of food, right up to how do we get it into big trucks and ship it sustainably, that's where Kent really excels. So a quick introduction about Locating Kent, and then we're going to get cracking on our wonderful speakers today. So our next slide shows the kind of outputs that Locating Kent deliver. So over the last 10 years or so, we've helped more than 1,250 businesses invest in Kent, and that's where we've created those jobs through that investment. So I'm not going to go on a lot about Kent because actually our first speaker is going to share with you some of the landscape of food production in Kent. But suffice to say, if you've got any questions that we can answer today, please hang around to the end or put them in the chat box as you think about them, and we'll address them at the end. If you can't hang around at the end to get the answer, don't worry, we're recording it, so you'll get the answer on the catch up. It's not an iPlayer thing. We'll have to email it to you. And if you've got any questions about how you actually take part in the kind of food production, processing, and distribution innovation that's going on in Kent, then you can drop me a line. And again, you can do that through chatbox or catch up with me after the call. My contact details will be at the end of the call. So our first speaker is absolutely lovely, and I've known Nazanin for a while now, and she is always buzzing, fizzing, you could even say, with innovative ideas. She's worked on some really amazing projects, but she's going to explain what the Kent and Medway region's all about for food and production. Now, Nazanin's an Associate Professor of Food Science and Nutrition at the University of Greenwich, so she really knows onions as well. So, Nazanin, it's all over to you.
Thank you very much, Simon, for such a kind introduction. Welcome, everyone, and good afternoon from UK. Today, I'm here to talk about landscape, the future trends in the food and drink sector. However, before we move on, please next, Emma. Before we move on, it's important to see, whilst we are exploring what is on the table on offer, also to see what Kent has got to offer and why Kent could be the good match for it. In Kent, as you can see on this slide, we've got 8 hectares of farmland available. We've got perfect ecosystem for fruit and vegetable, being Garden of England. We've got also a substantial number of producers and processors currently active in the area. Employment is quite buzzing, and we are the 4th largest agricultural workforce in the UK, the whole food sector and drink. We offer many graduates program from nutrition and health all the way to food safety, quality management, as well as food innovations, and with wider type of programs such as biotechnology that supports the same, so you will have access to the skilled workforce. And also we are the world leading research centers, and during these presentations today you will see what I'm referring to. And of course we have proven track record of successful collaborations, and we have top 5 supermarkets and distribution centers currently located in Kent, which effectively contribute to 25% of the UK trade through the global really travel, as well as through Kent, because we are just on the border. Next, please. Now, looking at the key growth drivers, we will know that social demographic status of the consumer is really the main driver behind any innovation in the landscape that we are looking at. Now, Kent offers a very diverse demographic. Now, whether that comes from educational background or comes from income, but effectively that allows us to have a potential market that could be tapped into through innovative product development. And of course, behind these key drivers, health and wellness awareness, which is directly correlated with educational status of the consumer, plays an important role. And of course, consumers these days, they're demanding more from their food, not just satiety and taste or flavors, but also health aspect. But healthy product has to taste good and be flavorsome. Otherwise, we fail in attracting consumers into adopting the diet, which is effectively better for them, but if not necessarily taste as good. And of course, health status is currently driving the market as well. Health status by that, for example, if you think about an individual suffering from a particular problem, and they will wish to effectively address that through health and diet, because we are moving away from the traditional diagnosis and prescription of the drug to prevention of the disease. Next, please. So trends in market, based on what I already explained, usually is looking or focusing on targeted product development for aging. This is quite important. And by that, we know, for example, through aging, we need a better or higher content of protein, which is bioavailable for body, as well as products that help our gut microbiome, because as we age, we effectively lose them. Ethical labeling is another one that consumers are really pursuing, and also flavor and super grains. Now, super grains and flavor, you will see later in my presentations that sometimes they don't go necessarily hand in hand. However, we do appreciate that these superfoods, they need to be incorporated in diet a bit more. Therefore, it would be strategically wise for those companies to effectively start embedding these in their development. And of course, technological advances, as Simon referred to it, we need, in order to make the food or any future market more accessible and affordable to the consumer, which means then productivity increases, we need to have technological advances that retain the majority of the nutrients, but also is sustainable in terms of the energy. And on top of this really is the personalized nutrition. Next, please. Now, according to Kerry's Health and Nutrition Institute, they identified 10 key health and nutrition trends for 2022, starting with plant-based future, effectively coming plant-based alternative, and moving towards botanical boom, and effectively looking at the microbiota impact or the relationship between the gut and the mood and cognitive function, coming into nutritional accountability, where, for example, labeling and legislation is more pushing and enforcing manufacturers and producers to take into account the transparency in terms of the ingredients they're using, and also immune function, which is quite important, especially after COVID. This was very much highlighted. Personalized nutrition in relation to, for example, looking at the dietary requirement of an individual in relation to their lifestyle and coming up with solution for that particular individual rather than one fit for all. And of course, technological future, role of AI, and how we can actually close the gap between what the consumer needs in terms of the on-demand nutritional information and the food products, food and drink products available, and of course, active aging again. Next, please. Now, opportunities and challenges associated with these trends that we just reviewed are really the free from. Basically, the consumer now demands simpler, more transparent labeling. Previously, in fact, fortification was not as much appreciated, but now the free from is not necessarily free from vitamin fortification, but it's mainly, or other ingredient fortification, free from includes effectively, and is focusing on ingredients which are causing, for example, allergic reactions, such as gluten-free, for example. Better for you reformulation is on top of the agenda because consumers, they do not want to eliminate any food that they enjoy from their diet. They rather have the healthier version and therefore have a quality of lifestyle. For example, reduce fat, reduce salt, or reduce sugar. Sugar drives this because now we are appreciating, and we see in the scientific literature review and research that it's the sugar that is really behind obesity rather than the fat. Good for you. Again, products that have been fortified, they're coming and getting a bit of traction. Healthier lipid, by this we mean, for example, the typical omega-3, which is quite important, not only for cardiovascular health, but also for cognitive function. And of course, protein fortification, because this is in line with that aging population that are demanding, because we are all living longer, we are demanding to be not only cognitively fit, but also physically fit. And our absorption of protein is deteriorating as we age. And of course, food that is tailored for you, food that serves a medicinal purpose, toddlers and infants, for example, elderly, pregnant ladies. Menopause is another area that is appearing. So there is a range of opportunities and challenges that needs to be overcome. Of course, in terms of formulation of these type of products, this doesn't come just overnight and easily. Next, please. So moving from one fit for all towards more personalized nutrition, where fortification of products, they serve a function, and the consumer can have a choice to basically select a range of food that makes their dietary composition, and even so that could mean, for example, medicinal nutrition. At the moment, for example, a project that we are working at University of Greenwich, we are looking at nutritional alternative for wound healing and for healing overall post-surgery, because we are hoping to offer an alternative to, for example, anti-inflammatory drugs. That's one example that we could be looking into. Next, please. And of course, mega trend in all of this seems to be the sustainable nutrition. And what do we mean by sustainable nutrition? Food that has been produced effectively locally, and with having people or those communities that is being produced in mind, also the environment that is being produced for in mind. And this is quite important. And it seems to be the major driver behind majority of the consumer demand or consumer awareness as well as health. So it's quite important that we have this embedded, and major takeaway really comes from the fact that we need to have, and we do in fact expect legislation to come into force in terms of carbon net zero, in terms of impact that a food product could have on the environment. Packaging is the simple one that everybody is referring to these days. But now we are going further, especially with the cost of fuel and energy that is rising, and also limited availability of some of the major ingredient and commodities that we will be facing as a result of global shortages. Thank you. Next, please. So, of course, when we look at the environment, we will see, for example, that 35% of the global gas emission comes from the food system alone. And of course, the level of 40% of the Earth land is being covered by this. So if you take it from the production losses to consumer losses, you will see that we will have a lot of loss happening, in fact, post-production, as we are reaching the post-harvest, coming to processing and reaching the consumer. And this in fact, is presenting a huge opportunity as to how we could effectively limit this waste, whether it's through the packaging, whether it's through the reformulation, or in fact, building a better network within the communities where a local food ecosystem could be built to build the capacity for local produce for the local, and in fact, surplus for the global market. Thank you. Next. And of course, what is driving the growth around this sustainability is the plant-based or protein alternative. And plant-based mainly is really, if you talk to consumer or any type of, the general public, when we talk about alternative protein, the top of the agenda, usually the first thing they think about is the plant-based. Plant-based is health and wellness, and also rise in allergies, for example, for some of the milk-based product in dairy, for example. We've seen that in the market, it has been developed, so you can get every single alternative for a dairy product into the plant-based. You will have the food safety. People want to know what is added in their food, and also ethic and sustainability. At the moment, unfortunately, I would say, but perhaps fortunately, because it really proposed an opportunity for development, is that ingredients that are being used sometimes are ultra processed because we are new in the field, and also the ingredients that are being used necessarily may not taste well, and therefore present an opportunity for reformulation, for example, reduction of the salt and fat. Next, please. So on that note, for example, you will see the protein quality of, for example, dairy product or animal-based are usually far better than anything that is plant-based because of the bioavailability. What we mean that something that body can access. So there is an opportunity here. So for example, we could use fermentation to address some of these, and also the flavor of them. Sometimes, as you can see in this diagram, as the concentration increasing, the flavor could be changing, and consumer is very quick to identify them, for example, in a plant-based burger. So this again present an opportunity for formulation, for masking these type of flavor, or in fact, fermentation we use to again address some of the issues associated with this. These are just nutritional challenges and opportunities that are presented, as well as obviously nutritional composition in terms of fat and salt and sugar and carbohydrate. Next, please. This, of course, has got a very high strategic relevance. For example, our national food strategy has referred to the requirement or the need or the urgency of the plant-based alternative, or in fact, protein alternatives that we need, but we do acknowledge it. And in fact, the report also acknowledges that these type of product, we are far from being perfect, and full reformulation of the composition, or in fact, alternative protein doesn't necessarily mean plant-based. So using fermentation or lab-based meat or dairy-based meat, lab-based dairy is quite important here. Thank you. Next. And of course, this is fit for future, the opportunities. As you can see here, we've had 40% growth on the plant-based type of meat. The milk is about 48%, yogurt is about 16%, and cheese shows about 38% growth increase. So again, not only the market is showing that there is a positive trend in relation to the consumer demand, but also opportunities still exist because the market will not be saturated for many years yet to come. Thank you. Next. Oh, thank you very much for listening. I'm around for any question at the end. I'll pass it over to Simon.
Nazanin, thank you. That was excellent. I think something I should have warned our audience of before we started, that any one of these slides, I think you could probably spend a whole hour on just one slide. And Nazanin has galloped through a whole bunch of content there. I've made some notes of questions. I hope you have to, like I say, just pop them in the chat room, and we'll address them at the end. I think it's an important trend that Nazanin's pulled out, or an important concept that Nazanin's pulled out, because we've talked about, as you'd imagine, being called Locating Kent, our objective is to help you come in Kent and have a successful business. But these are about global opportunities. What Nazanin's talked about there, the mega trends, the way we have aging populations, that's not unique to Kent. It's not unique to the UK. It's not unique to Europe. These are things we're addressing all over the world. So what we're talking about is local opportunity to get the research, get the support, to tap into those global trends. So this is about coming to Kent to succeed globally. It's not about coming to Kent to sell in Kent. And that's a trend that you'll see throughout. So look, Dr. Alicia Piscano is up next. Now she's a reader in fungal epigenetics, and I'm sure you all know what epigenetics is. So it's about looking at organisms and the modification of how genes are expressed, not the gene itself. Now, we're not going to go into that in any detail today, but it kind of demonstrates how super pointy-headed and clever Alicia is. She's also the director of postgraduate studies, and she's from the University of Kent. So Alicia's going to talk through a little bit more about some of the successes that we've had from research in the region.
Thanks, Simon. Hi, everyone. I will start by pretty much saying that you will be glad to hear that I will not be talking about fungal epigenetics today, but instead mine will be a very short presentation on growing Kent Medway and really the opportunity of collaboration that we have within the region. Next slide, please. So what is Growing Kent Medway? I don't know how many of you have heard of Growing Kent Medway. This is a UKRI funded project. It's a £18 million project funded for 5 years, and was one of 7 projects that was successfully across UK. As the title really say, Growing Kent Medway. Can you hear me well? Yeah, okay. So as the title say, Growing Kent Medway focus on the region, Kent and Medway. And as was previously mentioned, Kent and Medway are really known for our wonderful food, especially our fruit and vegetable. And therefore, the project really focused on improving sustainable production of food and drink the sector in the Kent and Medway region. And the way we thought we could do that and we could help the region is by pushing collaboration between key business that they are located in Kent at the moment or that they are willing to locate in the region with the research organization within the region. And why do we think this is a good idea? I think it's simply because actually, as a research organization, as a university, we can take risks that often business cannot afford to take. And therefore, we can perhaps starting the more high-risk project that you want to start, but you don't have the capacity, the time, and the money to actually start those projects. In addition, I think as a scientist who work in a university, I think there is one feature that we all have. We love data, we love stats, so we can really put some number behind some of the claim that you want to make about your product. If you want to say your product is a healthier product, we can really give you a number, and this can really push not only your marketing strategy, but I think in general your credibility. So that's one of the reasons why Growing Kent Medway exists. I just wanted to highlight now that as part of the program, we have a whole range of research grants available and funding opportunity available. So I would really push you to go to our website, growingkentmedway.com, to have a look at the type of support that we can give. Next slide, please. So with this in mind, Growing Kent Medway really is built around 4 different pillars. As I say, we are investing in innovation and research. We are believing in collaboration between university and business, but also peer-to-peer collaboration between business and businesses. We are building infrastructure, and Parag and Aminatou will give you an overview of the infrastructure that we are building. And thanks to actually locating Kent as well and this collaboration, we are also building on the present and future talent, on the workforce of tomorrow. Next slide, please. And I just want to really highlight very practically, and give you a flavor of the research organization that they are involved in locating Kent, in Growing Kent and Medway, and what our expertise are. The first research organization is NIAP. NIAB they are really fantastic in performing the research and development in agriculture and horticulture sector. They are located in 2 different regions, in Cambridge and NIAB EMR. And really, if you think plant and fruit and improving your fruit and plant, NIAB is really the research organization where you should think to collaborate with. Next slide, please. Yes. So I just want to give you, in the case of NIAB, a really short overview. And as Simon was saying, I could speak about it for ages, but just to give you a short overview of the area that NIAB specializes in and where we could help with any of your problem. From gene editing to training of agronomy and farming system. But sometimes I think facts speaks higher and better than words. So next slide. I think I just wanted to leave you talking about NIAB with a picture of the strawberry, the mulling fruit. And the first strawberry that was developed by NIAB was actually the strawberry, the mulling strawberry. So how the mulling strawberry came about? NIAB for years really collaborated in very close contact with a variety of fruit growers to select the mulling strawberry. And the mulling strawberry is superior to many other strawberries in taste, but also in consistencies and how it's transported and in its shelf life. If you really go, at least in the UK, in any supermarket, you will see that the strawberry that you're eating, and actually the best strawberry will be the mulling strawberry. And very recently, they have expanded this program from strawberry to other soft fruit, including raspberries that are found produced in Kent, but also produced now across Europe. For example, the raspberry are very popular in Spain, the mulling raspberry very popular in Spain. Next slide, please. And continuing to give an overview of the different research organizations that are involved in growing Kent and Medway, I just want to spend a few words about the University of Greenwich to also give you a flavor of how the different research organizations involved in growing Kent and Medway have actually complementary expertise. So the University of Greenwich is really the place for you to go if you already have a product in mind and you want to improve the product. So, for example, they have extremely successful research program on algae and how to extract protein from seaweed. They also have a successful research program to develop new sustainable packaging from food waste and to improve the quality of fava beans for protein production for food as an alternative to meat. Next slide, please. And the last research organization I would like to talk about is the one where actually I am working in, the University of Kent. We are actually quite new to the food and drink sector. Our specialty is the biopharm. And indeed, in the past, we've been working very closely with the major biopharma company, such as Merck, Pfizer, and GSK, to develop vaccine. And very recently, thanks to Growing Kent and Medway, we are now applying our expertise in biotechnology and gene editing to the food and drink sector. And just to give you again a flavor of where we are thinking to go, we are, for example, interacting with major seaweeds producer to isolate bioactive compounds from seaweeds and use these bioactive compounds as a supplement for growing plants, but also for as animal. So with this, I am really done. I just would like to highlight once more that if you are interested in anything we are doing, please go to the website. You can simply register your interest and become a member of Growing Kent and Medway. And this you will really open the door for any funding that we have available, but also any events or newsletter that we are running. Thank you.
Alessia, thank you so much. And thank you for not spending any time on epigenetics. But I was thinking how fantastic. It's not a presentation about Kent where we're having a big strawberry in there somewhere. And no, I come from a business background. My academic discipline, I guess, was economics, and the economics of a strawberry are as fascinating as how the way we're growing it is evolving. So if you look at, and particularly what you think we've experienced this summer in the UK with the heat wave, it's not sustainable for us to grow a strawberry in the winter in somewhere else and then distribute it to the UK, expending carbon along the way. But equally, the economics are, well, that's cheaper than growing it here through the winter in a controlled environment. But that's exactly what we've got to work on, not so much the technology, because NIAB are developing strawberry plants that work very well in a controlled environment and can grow through the winter. Of course, we've got to figure out the economics as well. So hopefully, because we're only halfway, so hopefully you've been stimulated with ideas of going, well, this is exactly these are some of the things I've got to get involved in. And if you've got solutions to those or you want to get involved, then like I say, put a question in or get in touch. So thank you, Alessia. Now I've got to put a disclaimer on for Nimisha, because Nimisha recently was on a couple of Locating Kent webinars we did for Canada while I was in Canada, and we beamed in Nimisha. Technology is an amazing thing, and she spoke, and everyone that heard her speak said, "Do you pay her to say these things?" So my disclaimer is, Nimisha doesn't work for Locating Kent. She's not one of us. She's one of our biggest advocates. We've helped her business, but her business, we've played a small role because Nimisha is super capable and has done an amazing job with her business. So Nimisha's here to kind of illustrate the kind of success you can have in our region. So Nimisha, why don't you lead off and tell everyone what's amazing about Nims Crisps and how you've achieved it?
Thank you, Simon. Hello, my name is Nimisha and I'm the founder of Nims Fruit. We are predominantly manufacturers of air-dried fruit and vegetable products. And I started Nims to create a healthy snack that parents would be happy to give their children, and a snack that children wanted to eat. That journey started a long time ago. I started making them first in my kitchen and then contracted out to a manufacturer in Eastern Europe. That didn't work because of quality, consistency, and also it was hampering my innovative side. I wanted to keep creating new products with this method of air drying. So decided I'm going to have to just do it myself, bite the bullet, and open a factory somewhere. A little about our products and credentials, perhaps. Next slide, please. So we are I'm really humbled by the number of awards we've won since we've been in business, and I think it's partly because we come to the attention of people because our products are so innovative, they are different, and we were the first ever fruit crisp on the market and created a category in supermarkets for fruit crisps that didn't exist before. So we're a multi-award winning brand, including the best one, of course, being the Queen's Award for Innovation, which we won during COVID. That was a huge pleasure for us to have. But 20 plus awards so far to date, and many for innovation. All our products are 100% natural. We leave the skin on. We are really conscious about sustainability and about health. So leaving the skin on all the fruit means you're getting more nutrition in your products as well. We are the only crisp brand licensed by Public Health England as one of your 5 a day. Up until recently, I'd say probably about 2 years ago, majority of, I'd say 70, 80, 90% of the fruit crisps that we made were made using British fruit. But as we expanded our product range and we have to buy citrus fruit, etc., now about 60% of the fruit that we use in the factory is wonky fruit and bought from British farmers and sorting houses. All our products are 100% just fruit and veg, so no fat, no gluten, they're allergen-free. Our factory is BRC certified, suitable for vegans, vegetarians, and celiac sufferers as well. Next slide, please. our first sort of introduction into fruit crisp, we just started with fruit crisps, and it started with apple, pineapple and kiwi, and watermelon came quite a bit later, actually, because even I couldn't believe. I know I can make crisps out of anything, but I didn't think I could do it with watermelon. But we did, and they are actually absolutely amazing. We're still refining that a little bit because my propensity to leave the skin on doesn't always work in terms of, yes, healthy and sustainable, but not great to the palate or your teeth. So we're now taking the skin off the watermelon because it's a bit hard. After having had so much success with our fruit crisps, we introduced air-dried vegetable crisps. Our main ones that we've introduced are the three that you see there, which is tomato and cucumber, beetroot and parsnip mix, and peppers and courgette. And in the vein of innovating, we even introduced a range of fruit and vegetable crisps, such as pineapple and cucumber, apple and beetroot. And I haven't put them on there because we've actually sort of withdrawn them a little bit. And this is the wonderful thing about innovating, is you keep trying and trying and you don't always get it right. And although the combinations work really, really well, they don't last, they don't have the shelf life in terms of crispness as the others do. So we can't sell them to supermarkets. So we've sort of pared back on those. We still sell them in smaller quantities. So I think you can see for us, it's all about creating new products and making them as best as we possibly can. Next slide, please. So although we started out as an air-dried fruit crisp company, it didn't stop there. For us, it was about, of course, being healthy, about being affordable, and also sustainability was at the heart of pretty much everything we do. And to this end, we introduced one of the world's first edible teas, and nobody had ever done this before. And I remember an article that went out, I think it was in Australia, and which said it would only be the British that would create something like this. And it came from when we pack our fruit crisp, we have small pieces that we filter out, and we didn't know what to do with them. We've been saving them up. And I accidentally discovered that if you poured hot water into beetroot, there's a beautiful liquid. And if you like the taste of beetroot, you've got beetroot tea. And that's what we did. So all the bits that we'd been collecting from the crisps that we packed that are broken, we turned them into edible teas, which you can see in the bottom right-hand corner. That was one of the first products that we introduced after crisps. Then came the infusions. We started working with gin companies and subscription companies for them to have air-dried citrus fruit. So instead of having fresh fruit, you put, as you do in hotels, a dried fruit slice on your cocktail or in your gin, and it rehydrates back to its natural state, flavoring the drink as well. So that was our next foray, and that's been really successful for us, and we work with quite a lot of companies on that. During COVID, our crisp sales suffered a little bit. So in order to keep the business going, we introduced ingredients and started working with the likes of Zizi restaurants, Wagamama, also supplying Morrison's with ingredients as well. So that's been quite a successful venture, actually, out of adversity that came along, and a good addition to our product range that we offer. And then finally, and this is a weird one, and we've only just started, we're now making pet treats as well. And this came about because we make apple crisp for Marks and Spencer's, and they didn't want the core left in, so we had to core the apples. And we thought, what are we going to do with all these apple cores? We're throwing them away, what a waste. And I happened to speak to one of the girls that was working in our factory in production, who said, oh, I work in a stables and horses love apple cores. I said, yeah, well, I can't give them fresh apple cores. So how about I try drying them and see if that works? So we now dry all the apple cores and we sell them to stables as treats for horses. You can't just have one product in a range though. So we've got little nibbles for small animals and also for birds as well, which we've launched about a month and a half ago. We'll see how that goes, but quite an exciting one for us to try out. So look, coming into Kent was not one of the main reasons I came to Kent. Was somebody had told me there's a lot of support in Kent when you set up for small, not just for startups and small businesses, but also for established businesses. If you could go to the next slide, please. one of the first organisations that I worked with was with Locating Kent. What they did was help me identify some properties that may be suitable for us, gave me guidance on what grants were available to startups and established businesses. And having gone through the rigorous application process, for which I also received help, not having ever applied for grants before, I received a grant of £50,000 in the form of an interest-free loan, which was an incredible thing to happen right at the beginning of our setting up the factory. You can imagine it's a huge cost to do that, and that helped us tremendously. What it also did, of course, was just for us to realize that there is help out there if we want it. The support didn't stop there. I mean, over the years, I've been able to call upon the likes of Produced in Kent, we're a member of them, and to grow my network, to gain access to a lot of European markets. We worked with Southeast Export Development Team. Manufacturing Growth Programme has always been there, and we talk to them regularly for grants that are available for not just to help us maybe buy some new equipment, but also for training myself, to help me manage a factory, to help me grow as a business owner, and also train our staff. In the international business, as I mentioned, we've done quite a lot of work and went to trade shows in Belgium, which was hugely profitable for us. So I think UK research and innovation, and we've got Nazanin here from Greenwich Uni. I've been working with her, and I've worked with Greenwich Uni before on several other occasions, and also advice for our food safety from there. So Nazanin's an absolute wonder and knows everything about everything. And so we are actually working on a new product together at the moment, which we will hopefully introduce in the coming months. So as I said, so much support available in Kent. You know, if anybody's wanting to set up manufacturing, this is the place to be. Thank you.
Thanks, Nimisha. That's awesome. And like I said, the disclaimer, Nimisha doesn't work for us. She's just a fabulous person. And Nimisha, before you go to, where can I get the pet treats?
The pet treats on our website, or Pet Dream House there's a website, a pet food website. There you go.
Excellent. Okay, that's going to be very popular in my household. Excellent. Thank you, Nimisha. And so our final speaker, but our third doctor, Doctor Who, Dr. Parag Akara. Now, Parag is someone else who's incredibly chipper all the time, and we were recently at a breakfast meeting together, and he was so cheerful early in the morning. He's always cheerful, and has a long career in private sector as well, in industry. But Parag's senior fellow in food innovation, senior fellow in food innovation, and the innovation growth manager for the accelerator under Growing Kent and Medway at the University of Greenwich. Now, Parag is going to talk you through. And this is the kind of the happy ending part, where you kind of find out all the support that's available. So pay attention, because this is the killer bit, and Parag's gonna deliver that for you.
Thank you, Simon. And good afternoon, everybody. Sorry for my voice. I mean, it's just like a bad cold. I'm going to provide you a sketch of the technical infrastructure that is available in the region, which can help you to deliver the cutting edge food research and innovation. Now, this will also manifest that the depth of the local knowledge and expertise, as well as interest for collaborative innovation. Now, let's start with the strategic priorities. Next slide, please. So which will tell you that why are we building such facilities and what's the use for? So as you all are aware that the challenges in the area of agri-tech and food is mostly interdisciplinary. So we want to build a capacity and capability which are future fit. Now, you have also heard a lot about the trends, the success stories, and one of the success like Namescris, where you saw the manifestation of what agri-tech and food innovation can bring. So we would like to, by using this infrastructure, would like to be at the forefront of this innovation. And also would like to build the Southeast Food Valley, where in order to be at the forefront, and also the aim is to create an agri-food ecosystem together with everybody, all the stakeholders and the players, and also to generate an entrepreneurial culture in the region. Next slide, please. So basically what we intend to do is we have all the parts and elements here to build a regional innovation ecosystem. And I would say Growing Kent and Medway is the catalyst of making it that happen in the region, along with Locating Kent and various other industry partners. Now, the question is that as three of the knowledge partners in Growing Kent and Medway, NIAB, University of Greenwich, and University of Kent, have decided to develop their own technical infrastructure and facilities. So I will go through one by one, very briefly, a top line about the Medway Food Innovation Center that we are building in Greenwich, the Green Tech Hub in the NIAB, and the Biotechnology Center that Alessia has sort of touched base on of some of the success stories in University of Kent. Next slide, please. So the Food Innovation Center, that we call it Medway Food Innovation Center in the University of Greenwich, we would really like to ensure a competitive advantage for the UK-led food research and innovation, and bring this cutting-edge research and transformative innovation into the market, basically. So what we can provide is undertake the advanced food research. We also facilitate technology development and provide the prototyping facilities for the new product development, and also deliver the contract research service. Now, we, of course, building our grant funding, we are growing to be associated with a lot of businesses, and there's a huge amount of already the local business, the interest from the local business, where we can offer the state-of-art capabilities. And also we would intend to facilitate the user-inspired research program. So basically the outcome of the research, which you see in the market, so closing the gap between science and application. And of course, there are quite a few of the capabilities that we are building in terms of alternative protein and the innovation focus on how to make product more tasty, the texture that consumer loves, and also novel food processing, as you heard from Nazneen, that we would like to move away from more of ultra processing to more milder processed, yet healthy and tasty products. Besides that, we also have the nutrition and food safety, and also sustainable packaging. Now, with that, we hope to reach the market which is around 1 billion, and that's really a kind of area where we would like to deliver the powerhouse of Kent and Medway. Now, next slide, please. Now, how are we building this Food Innovation Center? So we are creating some of the new facilities, as well as also leveraging the cross-faculty facilities, which are already existing in the University of Greenwich. And some of these newly, you see on the left corner, some of these newly built facilities, like an NPD or New Product Development Kitchen. We're also building an advanced food processing laboratory. We have an algae biotechnology labs. And there in the East Mowling, we have also a produce quality center where we actually do some advanced research and application on fresh produce handling and storage. Now, besides, we also now building a food accelerator program, how to basically deliver the idea to the market and create an opportunity where we bring in the technical facilities, and where we can help you to create the R&D strategy or finance strategy or business model, and can make you ultimately an investment ready, so that you move into your next step for the businesses. Now, in relation to that, I would like to touch base on some of the advanced equipment and facilities that we are buying as part of the Growing Kent and Medway, and as well as the university's own investment. Some of these food processing facilities, both thermal processing and non-thermal processing, and some of the equipments here we see not only give you a kind of analysis powerhouse in terms of rapid, robust, and resilient data collections, but also to give some of these things that are unique in the region. For example, we are buying, soon we'll buy a GC, so two-dimensional GC time of flight mass spectrometry, which can actually profile the flavor of your product in a fraction of seconds, and also give you an in-depth marker analysis of what the compounds that is actually giving the flavor of your products. Then also, as Nazneen pointed out about the alternative protein, so we are also developing facilities. I think one of the unique in UK now, a kind of one, under one roof, all the facilities for alternative protein-based food innovation, and start from getting your ingredients, how to eco-innovatively create an ingredients, how to use that ingredients to create a transformative products, a climate smart products, and how to test these products. Next slide, please. Now, I hope that so far what you see will accelerate the food innovation and also bring quite an advantage and benefits to the food business. So what we are trying to do along with the other partners is the benefiting, actually solving the challenges that you are facing, and also to enable tomorrow's innovation. Now we can bring in the technical feasibility, which can introduce novel process, test formulations. We can improve your business efficiencies by helping you to cost reduction or performing some market mapping of so that you can position your products in an advantageous way. We also, like I said, that about some of the food analytics, which will help you to strengthen the products that you want to put into the market in terms of nutrients, in terms of texture, in terms of flavors. And overall, that will actually de-risk your investment in terms of, and also providing a prototypes that you can be sure about. And there are a couple of industries, the companies are already part of this journey, as you see on the right-hand side. Of course, names, Nimisha spoke about the names, Chris, and there are a few others, some big names in the retail industry like Tesco and Sainsbury. So I think we are very nicely placed in terms of that. Next slide, please. So with that, I'd like to move and give you a kind of overview about the Green Tech Hub. So this is a huge investment of 11 million to create an advanced horticulture facilities in NIAB. And as you see, I mean, this brings not only the technical facilities, but also associated business and client facilities. And this is really a big jump in terms of the glass houses and also the plant growth rooms and other facilities. And also they have a wine innovation center. So in terms of the overall food and drink businesses, I think this is an unique combination of having your production in a very sustainable and eco-innovative way, bringing that production into the products, the early stage of agri-production to the products, where Medway Food Innovation Center can help you. And then also, next slide, please. Coming to the University of Kent's strength in life science and biotechnology to bring the whole part of sustainability into the food and drinks. As you see, the Kent has really very advanced and transformative facilities in fungal biology, industrial biotechnology, synthetic biology, and fermentation, proteomics, and genomics. So in those aspects, I think it's a huge combination. And the beauty of this whole Growing Kent and Medway is that you can leverage the end-to-end of the supply chain support from us. With that, I'll hand over to Simon. Thank you very much.
Parag, thanks. It's a huge investment an investment no individual organization could necessarily make. So I'm hugely grateful. We're a little bit tight for time, so I'm just going to ask a couple of questions. Nazanin, I'm going to go to you first. So you talked about super grains, and you kind of suggested that a lot of foods would be produced as supplements. Is that right? Is that the thing?
Not food would be produced as a supplement.
Mm.
What I meant was, because consumers are demanding in a way food that in fact prolong health and give them longevity in life and prevents disease. So the traditional way of processing and producing food is not going to be fit for longer. So consumers are demanding more nutritious food. And of course, we will be looking, because you need to feed the population, correct? So we will be looking at other ingredients, and super grains, for example, they come in. Now, super grains, or in fact, what was called the super food, or blueberries, for example, superfood. The question about this is, how much of them do you need to consume in order to benefit from? So therefore, extraction of those bioactive compound or introduction of those as a fortificant or as a component of another type of food, for example, burgers that I would have, in order to reduce the fat content, sausage roll, another traditional one. I worked on this 18 years ago after Jamie Oliver campaign for a healthier school meals. We turn them to healthier product, increasing protein, reducing fat by introducing plant protein, or for example, lentil mix, etc., etc. So you increase nutrients such as iron, but at the same time reduce the fat. And then effectively you deliver those phytochemicals that are important antioxidants for health. So effectively, yes, in a way, your food would be the same food, same form, same shape. We are looking into masking the flavor, etc., etc. Consumer would not see a difference. What they see is a healthier product.
So creating a burger that's not bad for you.
Exactly.
Well, I'm all for that.
And also food that is not expensive and it doesn't necessarily break the bank. And you can only achieve that through technology.
Well, and if you can do that with biscuits, I would be super grateful. And that is awesome. Thank you. Nimisha, I've got a quick question for you. You said you set out to create healthy snacks that children want to eat and that parents want them to eat. And I might have paraphrased you a little bit there and got that run the wrong way. But the issue is what parents want their kids to eat and what kids want to eat are not always the same thing, are they? So is that the core of NIMS, Chris, of that kind of finding a way? So similar to what Nazanin's saying with burgers and and she wasn't just talking about burgers, but is that the concept of what you're talking about producing things that people want to eat that are again healthy and not bad? I think you're on mute. I thought I was the only one who did that.
Yeah. So the idea of the fruit crisp came exactly from that when I used to run a coffee shop, and there was always this battle between parents and children, and what children wanted, here we go, Mum, I want a packet of crisp, and the mother is shoving an apple in their face saying, no, you're going to eat an apple. And it was just what if you could marry the two together? Yeah. Wouldn't you keep both? And children don't need to know if something's healthy. If you just tell them, have a packet of crisp, they're happy because it's a packet of crisps. So that was the sort of idea in a way. But yeah, and making it affordable, obviously, it has to be part of that as well.
Awesome, excellent. And finally, Parag, I just want the accelerator. Man, how exciting is this? So when's that available? When can someone join the accelerator?
Yeah, so actually we will be starting from September, our first cohort. And I think that will be around 15 companies and so that have expressed the interest. So we will be taking not all, but some of them for first cohort. And then we will, and that is for 4 months. And then we'll start our next cohort in January. So that's how, and of course we will actually make the cohort in terms of the aspects and the necessity of the startups, what they want. Yeah. And so that also they can actually learn from each other, basically.
Excellent. And do you know what? I was just reading this. This is kind of. I've just read an article this afternoon in an academic piece about helping businesses when foreign businesses, when they, but particularly small businesses, when they move to a new location overseas. One of the big differentiators that helps them succeed, and one of them is establishing networks quickly. And of course, that's the benefit of an accelerator, an incubator, whatever you want to call it, is that you accelerate a business's growth because you establish a network of everything they need to grow quickly. So absolutely awesome. I love that. I've got a couple of questions. So Miranda is giving us a nice big thumbs up. So thank you for an interesting presentation. What do you see the role of science parks in the region as being in your ecosystem, and how can we get involved? I have some ideas. Miranda, we love ideas because nobody has a monopoly on them, as much as my wife and I debate that. Let's touch base after this and share those ideas. The whole point of growing Kent and Medway, and when we were doing the bid for it, which feels like forever ago, but it was about 2.5 years ago now. The whole point is we are creating the phase one of growing Kent and Medway is to show we have a cluster in Kent, and that's established networks like NIAB, University of Kent, University of Greenwich, the FE colleges, places like the land-based colleges, and that's mission accomplished. The next phase is, well, how do we grow this and demonstrate we're a globally recognized cluster? So absolutely want to get engaged with science parks. Like if you go down to Kent Science Park, they got a whole load of businesses down there that work with the universities that are on the call today around growing technologies. Discovery Park is one of the most, I always kind of skip a breath when I visit anyway, because it's like this amazing big piece of real estate that was just kind of, it looks like it's just landed in Kent, and there's opportunities there to work with firms that particularly I think around cannabinoids and what have you. So let's touch base on that, Miranda, after the call, which would be absolutely fantastic. Any other questions before we wrap up? Because I've got to go and put an England shirt on and go and watch the Women's Euros in Brighton. But I don't want you to be pressurized by that. So if anyone's got a question, please feel free to throw it in now. Okay. Well, it's also probably nearly gin o'clock for our academics as well, because they're normally the first at the bar. So Nazanin, Parag, Alicia, thank you so much for being here and sharing a whole load of content. I'm sorry you didn't get more time, but like I said, if we'd done an hour on each slide, which we could have easily done, it would have been more like a summer school. Nemisha, thank you so much. You're always a ray of sunshine, and I'm going to certainly go online and get some of your pet products, because my poor dog has kind of suffered in this heat wave, so it'll be a great treat for her. Emma, you've done a fantastic job. You haven't said anything, but you've kept this very smooth and run and organized it all. In case you've forgotten who I am, because my name was right at the beginning, I'm Simon Ryan from Locate in Kent. Feel free to reach out to us. Miranda, I'll follow up with you. And thank you all for your time. And for those that you are on catch up, our contact details are at the bottom of the page. So just jump on those contact details as well. Thank you very much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your summer break.